For
Alright, ready, Colleen? Our one-man audience.
Ready?
hello, Mayor.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
I'm Mary.
Okay. So, welcome to our Spread the Word to End the Word follow-up discussion, Colleen.
Thank you.
So on March 4th, we tabled in Pearlstone and we held a bake sale to bring awareness.
Oh, more
Hey,
people
y'all.
came.
Yay.
Oh, hi. We have more people.
This is exciting.
I'm like, enough of here now.
Sorry, what was I saying? Sorry, can one of you take away because
Okay, so on March 4th, for Spread the Word to End the Word, we did a bake sale and like a pledge signing, so people, and then we also talked to people so they understood like what the R word was and why was it offensive to certain people. So that was our event.
And Spread the Word to End the Word it started with like young students who wanted to bring awareness to why the use of the R word is offensive. So we went on the website and we took this on because a lot of us feel really adamant about the use of the R word. You guys want to add anything?
No, you said it all.
Okay, cool.
I'm just excited for the video.
Do you
I know, I
wanna
love
see the
this
video?
video.
Yes. So I keep walking in front of the screen. But the video, I was just looking around, and it was on the Facebook page of the Spread the Word to End the Word, and you guys, it's awesome. Just play it, because I love it. It's so awesome. Just play it. Oh, gosh. The video is just like a good segue into our discussion we're about to have. And I forget his name, but he's really cute. President?
No.
No.
We need to talk about the R word. When people it's usually not to describe someone who has a disability. It's used to describe someone who's inadequate.
Your daughter Chloe is retarded at directions.
Something that doesn't function correctly.
I think that transformer's retarded.
Something that's crazy.
My flow retarded, he's retarded.
Or something that kids, just say.
It's really common with our kids and stuff. It's just like when they throw out the word, oh, that's so gay.
We hear this line of thinking all the time. But how does it hold up when presented to people who are actually affected by disabilities? This is Paul. Paul is a young man from Brooklyn who has Down syndrome. And this is Paul's mom, Margaret. So you're obviously very sensitive about people using the R word because your son has Down syndrome. But you know that when people are using the R word, they're not talking about your son directly.
Well, no, they're not talking about my son directly, but when they use the R word, it's in a very negative way. It's used to make fun of people, to ridicule. So it's hurtful.
But it's just like a harmless saying. It's like, that's so gay.
But it's not a harmless thing. I mean, my son is Down syndrome and he's gay. Both those things would be hurtful and disrespectful to him.
Paul's family has made an effort not to label their son. As a result, he's been able to identify himself on his own terms. So, how's it going?
I'm fabulous, you?
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am homosexual,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel fabulous about it.
Paul has been able to live a rich life full of music,
One of my favorite hobbies is karaoke.
crushes.
One of my favorite actors is Derek Chris. I have a crush on him.
You know,
Yes.
dreams.
I want to be a pop culture TV star.
Are you born to be a star?
Always.
And thanks to the support of his family, he doesn't let his disability define him.
My son was encouraged to do whatever he could do. He's very passionate about life and about what he wants to do with his life, and he goes about doing it.
I'm a Brooklyn diva. If you want to get out and express yourself, it's okay to be different.
Did you always find it easy to be different, or sometimes it was hard?
It's not that hard, just it felt great. I feel powerful.
Clearly, Paul is anything but inadequate or crazy or any of the other negative things we associate with the R word. And yet, when we use the word as an insult, it's hard to claim we're not referencing people like him. Intellectual disabilities are still the number one thing associated with the R word. And if you spend time with any of the 6.5 million people living with intellectual disabilities or their families, it's clear that they're not comfortable with how casually the word is used in our culture.
Why are you constantly using a word like the R word as an insult?
The R word is a hateful word.
It made me feel like I wasn't compatible to what other people could do. And I never want to hear that word again.
That's my concern with, use of the R word. People with developmental disabilities have feelings, they can be hurt, and you need to just get to know them. Go out and learn for yourself.
So when is it okay to use the R word? If you stop and think about the implications of the word and what it means and who it reaches, it becomes easy to answer that question for yourself. Never.
Just from Kern's slide. The second button.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
So this young man right here.
I think you still have YouTube up.
Hey, this is a big guy. Don't go.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all.
Alright, there you go.
Okay, so what is an intellectual disability? So an intellectual disability has a lot of different parts to it. An intellectual disability involves impairments of general mental abilities that impact adaptive functions in 3 domains or areas. These domains determine how well an individual copes with everyday tasks. The conceptual domain includes skills in language, reading, writing, math, reasoning, knowledge, and memory. The social domain refers to empathy, social judgment, and interpersonal communication, the ability to make and retain friendships and similar capacities. The practical domain centers on self-management areas such as personal care, job responsibilities, money management, recreation, and organizations, and work tasks. So basically, it's just if they have a disability in any part of their life, really, is a intellectual disability.
The reason we included information about what an intellectual disability is because a long time ago in the DSM, mental retardation was a medical term. So the term is now outdated and it's been replaced with intellectual or developmental disabilities, also known as IDD in the special ed world with all of our acronyms. So people have taken on that word in more of a colloquial manner, but its roots are in the medical field.
So, who wants to talk about our event?
So people signed a pledge that said "Spread the word to end the word" on it.
Where are they?
We don't know.
Where are they?
They didn't show us. And we had and we also had a bake sale, and we're gonna give the money to Best Buddies in Special Olympics. A lot of people came by the table and didn't stop, but I was okay because we
had
all
fat cakes.
And we had fat cakes. And we had really good food.
Because all of us went to South Africa, so it was really close to our hearts.
I forgot about that. So we had 300. It was around 300 because
we couldn't count all
it was
the
about
we were trying.
It's on
we
the
were
second
counting, but it
floor.
was hard.
You guys want to see it?
It's upstairs. We raised $190 for Special Olympics and Best Buddies. And a lot of people, we didn't really realize a lot of people don't use the R word. On Goucher's campus, don't use the R word. And a lot of people they were like, oh yeah, we really want to understand more about this topic. This one guy was like, well, he wanted to know, can we use it in a medical term? That's what he asked me.
But it's definitely one of the things that we realized it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Like every time we would say, like, you want to learn about it, they put their head down and just keep walking as fast as possible.
Or a lot of people would stop. One of our questions to hook people in was do you know what the R word is? And a lot of people started saying respect, responsibility, all these other positive things. And then we would say, actually, the R word that we're here to talk about is retarded. And they'd be like, oh, really? And then we would explain like why we were there, the campaign, and a lot of people were really open to pledging to not say the word or to like stop people from saying the word if they hear it. So it was awesome. It was awesome to see like people's openness to that. And then is the video thing next?
Yes.
Yeah. So a few of us went around asking people a few questions. Revolve around the use of the word retarded, and this
Where
is what
the
they
video?
said. It's in there, yeah.
Please don't be loud. Keep running in front of the
No, because it's an offensive word and we don't understand the true meaning of it.
I don't use the R word. So the R word is actually one of the words that I'm kind of conflicted about. Because it's a word that has a meaning and definition outside of the insult, but because it's been used in such a way, it's like almost exclusively as an insult. It's sort of changed the definition entirely. So I don't use it because I know that people find it offensive and hurtful for very legitimate reasons. But at the same time, it's a word that I think it has legitimate uses when because it means like a sort of stunted or inability to grow in a certain way.
The R word out of respect for everybody else. It's disrespectful to the people who have disabilities as well as their friends and family. To me, it falls under the same category as double standards or racial slurs.
In my opinion, I don't think that should be a term, a term that should be used because, in a way, it's like disrespectful. I would say, like there's no reason for anyone to be called that. I probably would like look for other terms to be called if I was to call. Like the only term you should be called is by your name, I'll say.
Yes, I know people who have mental and physical disabilities that are very offended when you use the R word, but it also affects people who may not have any type of disability just because there's such a strong negative stigma surrounding that word that we've created in society that regardless of your abilities or inabilities, if you call someone the R word, they're going to feel offended.
If they didn't love you, I wouldn't care if you
I do. One of my best friends who used to go here, I think her brother is mentally challenged, I guess. And at one point in time, and during my freshman year, I said something was retarded. She's like, I really don't appreciate when you use that word, and I would prefer if you didn't. And she told me about her brother and why that was a derogatory word, which was kind of something that you know when you use the word, but at the same time, it's like you don't think about it. And so I know her.
I do. I work at a camp in Pennsylvania called Camp Lemar for children with special needs, and a lot of them would be affected by using that word. It's not an appropriate word to use. In this day and age, people need to realize that it's not a word that should just be thrown around instead of saying other words, and it does affect people in a negative way.
Yeah, people who have disabilities may not like the use of the R word because it has such a negative connotation in society. People use it as a synonym for the word stupid. I think that's really wrong, and people could become really, really offended if they actually do have some sort of mental disability.
I think it's okay to use the R word if you're using it in a respectful way and actually saying what it means. Like, people throw around the R word like it's some random type of adjective. Like, if they're frustrated with something, if they think it's stupid, oh, like that's the R word, and that's not okay, and that's not what it means.
Sometimes the problem with the word retarded is people describe things as that was retarded or this is retarded, and when you're really what you really mean is like this is bad or this is not cool, and to put the word retarded as bad and not cool creates this connotation that people who have special needs are bad or not as good, and that kind of just perpetuates this stereotype that people with special needs are less than or lesser than people who don't have special needs in society, which just ultimately isn't true.
I think the fact that you'd have to ask someone that question just shows how symbolic in our society that the word has a certain stigma, and I think that asking the question itself is reinforcing that stigma because it should be a given that people should use the word only in a very professional, scientific, or serious manner and not as an insult, because that is just ignorant.
Well, how I used it in my childhood and how most people in the society use it is we use it interchangeably with stupid or incompetent. But I used it in my childhood, but I just feel like it's elementary now. Like, no.
I would define the R word as someone who is not fitting in with the norms of how society expects people to be productive or contribute in a way that's efficient. And I would define the R word as someone who takes in information differently or in ways that are seen as unconventional or not productive and that aren't necessarily valued in our society in terms of efficiency and production.
The word retarded, without any connotations, to me means simply slow.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's used to mean stupid, which I guess would be mental retardation, but that also can be connected to disorders. So I think that the use of retardation when I was on a tangent then I lost it. If you're using the word retarded to say it's about someone's mental state, it should only be in use with an actual disorder.
I would define the R word as something that in science means slow or a stunted growth, but in music it literally means to slow down. I don't think it's something that you should use to describe a person.
So I'm gonna ask you guys to share your thoughts in a few seconds, but I just wanted to, as I was putting this together and watching all the videos, something struck me and I wrote it so that I wouldn't forget what to say. But I wanted to say that some of the views expressed in the video aren't ones we all agree with, but we included because they're examples of why events like ours are important for bringing awareness. Not everyone thinks like us, especially because we're in the field of special education and because we understand these things and we study these things and we're passionate about fighting the stigma that comes with a lot of the terms like retarded. And I don't know, it just it seems like even though not everyone thinks like us and it can be frustrating, it's also rewarding because it opens up the doors for us to educate people, which is what we love to do. So yeah, I just think there's a lot of value in sharing our knowledge that we attain from being special ed majors and spreading it into the community and our awareness and our passion and our experiences. So that's something that I've always expressed to Mary. I'm like, Mary, it's so frustrating that people don't care as much as we do, and people were just walking by our table. And you know what? That's something that we're gonna have to go out in the world and encounter and just
fight as hard as we can. But I think that's why I was so like passionate and like, let's do this, because I actually like hate the R word. And as like some of us saw in the video, some people still connect the R word to its medical roots, even though it's like long outdated. But what do you all think from what we saw?
Well, I was raised that the R word was a bad word because my mom's a special educator, so I was never allowed to say that word. And actually this year, coaching volleyball for me, I'm with this person 3 days a week and then almost every weekend. She uses the R word like it's an adjective. Like she's retarded, that's retarded, this drill is retarded. And I had to go, Tracy, this word is literally an awful word to me. Like, do you understand? And we sat down and we talked about it. And she's very, it's her way or no way. And so she kind of understood what I was saying, but she didn't because she was stuck in her own ways. She's gotten better with saying it, but still, to her, she goes, Megan, not everyone thinks of it as a person. And I go, well, how do you think of that word? Like, we had this debate, and I was starting to get really frustrated with her and really angry. She goes, it's stupid, it's dumb. And I go, that used to be a term used for a person with disabilities. Like, that is what it's known for. So why would you say something like that? Like, so she started to see what I was saying, and it's gotten better, but still she uses it every so-and-so, but you can tell she'll say it, and she stops, and she'll look at me. Like, it's sinking in her head, but she's like, Megan, not everyone thinks of it like that. They think of it as an adjective, like dumb and stupid. And I go, but where did it stem from, Tracy? Where did this start from? People don't want to hear that. Like, I get embarrassed when I'm by you and you say that word. And a lot of people think like that. So it's funny that, like, this is what this was, and that's why I wanted to come to it tonight, because I've had the biggest, like, since October coaching with this person who uses it like the F-bomb for some people. So it's been a big, big, big problem for me, and like I've tried to learn to deal with it, and I just like I can't. So when she gets in the heat, I have to walk away from her because I can't do it. Like, you can't change someone automatically for them just to like. For some of the people in the video who use it, they think it's okay to use it, and it's not. I feel like they don't know. They don't know how. So it'll take some time, and I can tell that it's changing, but
you also seem to be like, if you say in front of like your kids for volleyball, you seem to be changing the next generation of realizing which isn't as
yes, she'll say in front of my 16-year-old girls that I coach, and I'm like, Tracy, and they're like, Megan doesn't like Coach Meg doesn't like that word, and we don't either. Like, they're on board. So it's getting better, but it's funny that this has come up because this has really been like really tough for me with someone who just thinks of it as nothing.
And I know Mary and us, we've all talked about it. And Mary said it's really hard for some people to just understand how much it impacts people if they haven't had a person. And like the question we asked, if you've been know a person who would negatively be affected by this. And a lot of people don't know people who've negatively been affected. And I think that's part of the problem, because I think we all know, we think of students we've worked with or people we've interacted with, and that's why we get so like burned up in fire about it, because we know the implications of it.
I mean, but it's so unfortunate. You know, my mom was a teacher for a lot of years, and she still uses the word. And she had students in her class who, you know, she was a mommy and me teacher, so they were, you know, 1.5 years old. But she had students in her class who would be labeled as mental retardation if it was in the past, and she still uses it. I'm just like, this is not okay to ever use.
Even I think the word idiot or another word. No, I think it's idiot. Idiot used to be a medical term. And I think we're so far removed from that, but I know growing up, and someone brought this up actually at the table, that they feel like it's a geographical thing, like where they grew up, like they feel like kids in like grow up in urban areas and like cities use it more. And I know like a lot of my friends from DC and New York City like use it so much, and it's just like it hurts me because I recall, and I never used the word. I hated the word, but I remember being in 4th grade and the kids in my class were just so cruel, and they would say, oh, haha, like, there go the retards, like, and they would use it as a way to, like, make fun of them, and in a hurtful way, you know, so I don't know, that's what burns me up about it, And people are like, oh, well, I just mean it's dumb. Well, like, why does it have to be equated with dumb when it's dictionary definition? When the definition of to retard something is to slow it down, you know? And it's just like, to use that for a person is completely wrong and disrespectful. So that's, like, my thing. But
it's also just, like, how you grew up. Like, my family will not use the word crazy because my sister is mentally ill. So, you know, it is how you grew up. So, like, people who grew up with siblings or friends who did have a mental disability are probably a lot less likely. Like, you grew up surrounded by kids who probably did because of your mom.
Yeah, but I also think, like, sorry, I'm videotaping.
I
know, but Mary is this computer right now. So. Hi, Mary. Maybe you're alone.
Wait, Mary's on the computer right now?
No.
Oh, she is.
She's quiet.
Oh, I thought you were video time with her. I'm confused.
But then it does. I'm sorry. It's okay. But then it's like, I know you're saying it's like it's about how you're raised, but I think it's also, like you said, idiot. It's like the way we can also change people's mind about it. Like, I'm on like with you, Chalk. Like Michael, my boyfriend, his roommate always says it every single time, and at Thankfall, I'm up there most weekends, so I'm really using negative reinforcement on him because every single time he says it, I pin a ball on his head, or attempt to anyway. But now he knows not to say it around me, and like, even though that is like, he may say it when I'm not there, but I'm there a lot. So that's like giving something, you know. So I think if we do make it aware, and it actually, when you guys were doing this, I'm like, I wonder if you guys went to the mall, what the reaction would be. I mean, I guarantee a lot of people would like just like pass you unless you saw Girl Scout cookies. But like, just being there, that's like Girl Scout cookie, like no one wants to be involved if they're not interested in it. But then it's like there's I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Brain Games.
Oh,
yeah, that TV, it's a TV show. But they like, if like us three were just standing in a line for this table, people are gonna be curious about it, and then would stand in line behind us. We should do that. Well,
I heard maybe. Or I was just gonna say. Oh no, you go.
I was actually gonna ask. I presented this to my class. We talked about the R word, and one of my more proactive thinkers asked or made a statement. He said, "Isn't the word just going to change when they have a new definition for it?"
No.
And so, you know, you were saying that the new definition is the IDD.
Yeah.
IDD. So is that going to be the new term instead of the R word? Is it going to be the I word? And people are just going to think, oh, like that's so IDD. You know, you were saying that idiot was the original description for children with learning disabilities, and now the word is retarded, and so we're just going to continue to change that until, unfortunately, like until everyone's aware of it, and then it's just going to change again. And it's, I think this is wonderful, like being aware of the word, the R word, but how do we just prevent people from
that's actually a third
those
question,
two components of someone with a disability or someone that learns differently. How do we present that? And, you know, that goes off of what you're saying when you were watching the video. You know, it breaks your heart because people aren't willing to see what you see. And you're going to see that, I'm assuming you're all looking to be special educators in the school system. There are school teachers, gen ed school teachers that don't see what you see every single day, that are in the exact same position as you, and it's going to break your heart. And we need to find a way as special educators to connect not just to teachers, not just to students, but literally to the entire world. It has nothing to do with the word, it has to do with reality of like people that learn differently.
I mean, I think if we work on the next generation, I think it'll definitely help. Like the family I'm working with for Mary's 320 class, their kids are 3 and 4, and they're in a general education classroom that is mixed between special ed kids and
that's
general.
what they're pushing.
And they need to, you know, be interacting with these kids so they see they're not so different than you. They just think differently.
I think it's. I mean, obviously it's the word, but I think it's the meaning behind the word that's more important. You know, if that's what your kid was trying to get. It's not exactly the word, because the word can change and it's still going to have the issues. It's going to be the meaning and how we see these people and understand the people. And I guess we just have to do like mainstreaming. I know some people are against it in our special
It's not
education
even just
class.
mainstreaming though; it's interactions.
What mainstreaming did you mean?
And
Well, not just,
inclusion,
it's not just inclusion, it's putting everybody together
Okay.
from levels of, second grade levels to kids that are in sixth grade levels. That whole component, which has huge benefits and huge disadvantages, not just for, kids with learning disabilities, but kids that might be learning at a more fast-paced schedule. And it's really hard to find that balance. And as special educators, you guys are all working toward that. You're all doing like an unbelievable job to access everybody's individual IEP, because everyone deserves an IEP. Everyone deserves a plan that's going to make them the best person that they can be.
And I think, remember Aaron's favorite book, Because of Mr. True.
Oh my God, yes! I was just gonna quote it.
Oh my God, that's the best book in the whole world. Not
so
appropriate.
It's
I know.
It's not appropriate.
With the boy, right? With their class collaboration.
There's 2 more apparently.
And
There's
actually
something else
you gotta
too,
read
right?
it. Yeah, you can only read the first one. You can't
What
read
is
the
it?
second one.
I haven't gone to the second one.
It's all about the individual
So why
types
don't you
of kids
guys,
in the same
Megan
class.
has never read it, so for Mary, who probably read it, but just attention. Why don't we explain to Megan what it's about?
Well, let's Erin, because Erin's her favorite
Erin's,
book.
Okay.
She had a
So,
soap opera.
so it's about this new teacher that comes in and teaches, what was it, fifth grade. And he's young. They never say his age, but I assume he's like 30.
Young 62.
I know, he has
Mr.
to be.
Picture Mr. Schuster from Glee.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I've only seen Glee like 3 times. Moving on.
And he comes in and has this new way of teaching. Like, he's like in groups and everybody like
Student-centered learning.
Yeah, everybody starts to love him.
Very
That's not
innovative.
what the school does, but he's like new and everything. And each kid tells their story about him. And there's Alexis, who's like a mean girl, and there's
Jennifer? No.
Jennifer.
There's Alexa,
Danielle,
who's like
Danielle.
the one without.
She
Yeah.
married her.
No, Danielle has
The
shy one from New York.
No, Danielle's the one who grew up like whose older brother, and then has like the grandparents, and the grandparents are
Jeffrey's
very
the one
like.
with the sick brother.
Yes. And then
No, that's Jeffrey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and-
well,
and-
no, it don't matter.
Yeah.
There's 7 students.
Yeah.
And they have different, and then
I feel like we're confusing that kid.
and he actually has them work with
But you
the
heard
special
us reading
education
it in class.
You were reading? Were you in that? Megan, didn't you
Yeah,
take
Mrs.
Jason?
Stroman and I were reading it in our homerooms.
But then you, Megan,
Michelle.
wait, didn't you
No,
read it for?
she didn't read that one for Longo.
You read Wonder though, right?
Yeah, you read
yeah.
it.
Oh,
Everybody
okay,
read
so
one.
Meg, what I'm trying to get at is that this teacher allows this gen ed classroom to do like a
Collaborative class.
yeah
With
with the
the
special
special
needs
needs students.
children
Oh,
in that
okay.
classroom.
Okay.
So what I was trying to get at, which I didn't know this was going to take that long, it's okay, Erin. You did
It's
awesome.
okay.
Was that like I was thinking, if teachers had that frame of mind, right, that they could teach their children. Okay, that's it.
I
like
agree
that.
with
I like
that. Yeah. I think. Sorry, do you want to go?
You can go first. I just said it.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say that, student teaching, showed me that inclusion does not work for everyone, but it has its social benefits for both students with special needs and students in the general education system, but I absolutely love the idea of having just also, I've been on this, journey that Mary knows about of, realizing that maybe I don't want to be a classroom teacher, but working with, an agency that provides services for people with special needs after they've transitioned into adulthood. And a lot of people with special needs are placed in restaurants and department stores and places that we go to every single day. And there's no reason why this shouldn't be opening people's eyes up to the fact that they are just as competent and important and valuable to our society as anyone else is. So I don't know, I think bringing awareness to that and just being out, I think it starts with us, we are doing our part right now, but there's always more that we can do. And I always tell my friends, please don't use the R word around me because it really bothers me. And I explain to them why. And I think when I explain to them why, they realize, you know what, I'm using a word that's often used to kind of ridicule and insult and make fun of and label people that have special needs, and that's not the correct label for them. And when they realize that, they're like, wow, this is like disrespectful, and so they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. So I think not just saying like, could you not use that word, but explaining why, and also making people aware to the fact that we are surrounded with people that are different, not just by ability level, but just different in so many ways. Like, we're all different, and just showing people that people with special needs aren't like less than us, you know, in our communities, in schools, and just like kind of opening people's eyes up like that, whoever it is, a loved one, a friend, like, you know, saying hi to your cashier at the restaurant or something, you know, like, I don't know. Working with like the agency that I've been working with has showed me like we are just surrounded by so many different people. So I think just doing it where we can, not just in schools.
Well, I was going to talk about this. Isn't exactly the implications and use of the R word, but I'm at Roland Park City right now, and they did. I wasn't there for it, but my teacher introduced it when I was in fieldwork observing, and it was the vow of silence for LGBT population. And so students, they did that, and my kids are in 4th grade, and the whole elementary school was open to it. And I think stuff like that in the classroom needs to happen more often, because she said, I think it was only 4 kids didn't do the vow of silence in her 32-sized class homeroom. And like when she brought it up and she used the words, she said gay and lesbian, and one kid who's the troublemaker raised his hand, and he's like, he made a remark and said, oh, like a weird remark, and my teacher said, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? And he addressed it. He even said in front of all his classmates. So you're talking about when a girl is kissing a girl and a guy's kissing a guy. And then she said, yeah. And he's like, well, I don't like seeing that in the class or seeing that in school. And she's like, well, you're not supposed to do it in school if you're a boy and a girl. So I thought that was really powerful for me. And I know the kids really took it to heart too. So I know these are sensitive topics, but these are things we can introduce to the kids that I think we shouldn't stem away from because of the sensitivity of them and worry about them.
So, do you guys want to move on to another question?
Oh, just another thing that I heard, like, I was like having dinner with my friend one time. She was like, you know what, like when you hear someone say something that really grinds your gears and like they feel like they're right, and they say something offensive, ask them, what do you mean? And they're going to have to explain themselves. And they're going to have to figure out why they said what they said, how they said it. And when people are conscious of that, they're like, wow, like, I should really think about what I say and what I mean and say it how I mean it. So I think if someone, like, is just being, like, kind of disrespectful, using things in an offensive way, whatever it might be, whether it's a term relating to sexual orientation or ability or anything, race, anything, asking them, what do you mean? Will really get them to like stop and think. And that's really powerful.
Well, I think it's so interesting that you came. I'm really happy you guys came because many other people did, except for Colleen.
Yeah, Colleen.
But sometimes I personally struggle with too is I'm not always an assertive person. I kind of like don't want to be like that, like the bitch or something like that. And of course I'm going to speak out when somebody says it. But for people who sign the pledge, and we told them, when you sign this pledge, you're basically abiding and saying you're not going to say this pledge, and you're going to stop somebody and explain to them why they shouldn't use the R word. And I think that is one of the hardest parts too. When somebody says it and they're like such a quick conversation, are you like, no, you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like I just
you can't say that. And I've even had discussions with my boyfriend about that because he's like, Megan, like what? Like people are gonna say you can't like freak out on them like that. I'm like, don't say that word. He's like, you can't tell people not to say a word that they like don't understand. So I have learned to deal with that. But it's just been like I've grown up with you don't use that word, and then going into this major, it's just you don't say that word, and there's 4 reasons, and it's meaningful, and you don't say that stuff. And so he's learned from me, and I've learned from him. But it's like you have to be like that, Jennifer. You have to be like, why do you think that? Like, explain to me your thought process so you can really understand, and then talk with them. Like, that is the key thing. You have to ask them why.
Right.
That's all you can do, and then you guys can talk it out. You can't change them automatically,
You
but
can't say, don't say it. You have to say, why are you saying that word or something like that, and then more.
I mean, you can ask them all you want, but sometimes it just doesn't change. I'm like, every time my mom says it, I say, Mom, why did you use that? She's like, oh, well, I mean, in Spanish, it's normal word. I'm like, but we're not speaking Spanish. I'm just like, Mom, you gotta learn not to use certain words.
I mean, like, I told my friend at the mall, he was like, oh, that's so retarded. And I was like, he said the person was so retarded. It was his haircut the boy had. He was like, that's so retarded. And I was like,
that's what people say.
Why did you say that? He said, what am I supposed to call them? What do you call, he was like, what do you call people with special needs now? I don't really know. And I was like, exceptional people. Or exceptional special
But it's
needs.
over a haircut. You can't even say.
You can't even say. I was like, if you have to say that word about somebody, use exceptional. Don't say retarded.
It's a bad haircut.
Just say it's a bad. Don't use the word retarded. And then he was like, sorry, I won't. And then he used it 5 minutes later. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. The association with not even the word, but the population.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
This is the last slide, Hannah.
We have positive words to say.
We have words to say.
Other words to say.
You want to say retarded, but you don't know what
Well, thank you.
Leave.
Our
conclusion.
Could you guys give us your feedback on our?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, feedback. But let's skedaddle. Is that skedaddle?
Skedaddle, yeah.